Yeah, go ahead.
So, Anmol, if you link whatever we've read till now, this comes in after the core of the teachings. And in the core teachings, there are three steps that were brought in. The first step completely resonates with whatever we are reading in this chapter about yoga, which is that you do all the actions as a sacrifice. And there was a beautiful definition that you read twice in last recording where you said, look, let's understand what is yoga, and it completely reflects step one of what we were. If you pick up essays of the
Jnana
Gita and
yogena sankhyanam, karma yogena yoginam, 3.3 of the Gita. That is what you're referring to.
correct. So if you see the definition of yoga and if you see step one of the core teachings, it completely resonates. Okay. And if you see, because Sri Aurobindo's bought this right after coming, look at the sequence also. So he brings
And
you
I
core
mean,
of the
just for
teachings.
other people's clarity also, by the first step is meant karma yoga, or basically the idea that you are the doer, but whilst this idea that I am the doer is there, you give up the right to the fruits of the action, basically.
Anmol, you could just, if you just read the two paragraphs that we did, the first paragraph has the definition of what is yoga, and you read it twice just to get everybody in sync. Just read that line, and it's exactly step one of what we closed the last chapter on core of the teaching. Just please read that.
I'm not sure which line you are referring to.
It,
Can you?
Dhaval
This is
bhai,
the
are you there?
paragraph on screen. This much
The
has to
two
be said.
paragraphs. See, we did two paragraphs
We
on
did three
last.
Yeah.
actually. We did three.
So one you just read again. The two paragraphs that we did, you have
Acha,
the
there.
definition of yoga, and you read it twice last time, and
Does
we said,
anybody
look, this.
remember which one it was exactly? 1 minute. Control F.
I think this much has to be said, wala paragraph.
No, it categorically says yoga is this, because in the last recording you've said this is so important that
Yeah.
I'll read it again.
Yeah, I'll read it out. Yoga
Yeah,
is the
please.
practice of the truth of which knowledge gives the vision.
No,
And
no,
its
it's a line before that.
yoga is meant, okay, line before that. Yoga, on the other hand, proceeds by works. It is in its first principle, karma yoga. But it is evident from the whole teaching of the Gita and its later definitions that the word karma is used in a very wide sense, and that by yoga is
Yeah.
meant the selfless devotion. Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
So, Anmol bhai, you said Bhagavad Gita chapter 8 point, that widest
नहीं
sense.
अच्छा यत करोषि यदश्नासि.
Ha.
By yoga,
Okay.
what he's referring to, by yoga is meant the selfless devotion of
Correct.
all the
Correct.
inner as well as the outer
This
activities
is it.
as a
Yes.
sacrifice to the Lord of all works, offered to the eternal as master of all the soul's energies and austerities.
Beautiful. Exact. All of what we read as the first step is captured in this one line, that this is the right way to do it. Everything, inside, outside, everything to a Lord and Master. The reason why this is very important, because even
So
at
what is
step
your
one,
question? What is your doubt or
I'll
question?
come to the question. He's bought in step one saying that there is a greater Purushottama and everything has to be a sacrifice. And this is what we bought in, right? This is step one, exactly like Essays of the Gita's core teaching. He said this step one. Now you come to step two. Step two, he says that you realize that there is the concept of you being the doer. The doership is not there.
Yeah.
Because there is no doer, it is that same Lord. And if you see the chapter the paragraph that you ended with, it says that it can only give a consent as a reflection because the three gunas are reflecting in it. So there is no dispute to whatever Sankhya has said. This is my question. If you look
Yeah.
at core
Correct.
teaching, step
Correct.
2 and Sankhya is there. My first question is that according to me, it is identical. The second step, which says that the doership is there is a Purush and a Prakriti, and it explains the complete breakdown of how Purush and Prakriti are working. But it says that therefore there is no doership. There is no
So
doership
you
because
realize, so
yes,
whilst you are involved in the Prakriti, whilst your consciousness is identifying yourself with either of the three gunas of Prakriti. So till such time you feel that you are the doer because you are part of that machinery of nature. Okay. The full shloka है 3.27 में, wherein he says प्रकृतेः क्रियमाणानि गुणैः कर्माणि सर्वशः. Okay. So it is the Prakriti with the gunas, Prakriteः क्रियमाणानि, which is doing everything, कर्माणि सर्वशः, all the karma. Ahankara vimudhatma kartaham iti manyate. So this is the second step. You realize that it is Prakriti which is doing everything. I am not the doer. I am simply the witness. 1 minute. Somebody, loud noise is coming. Please mute yourself. I'm sorry. So,
yeah. So you were saying that it is Prakriti, which is because the definition of Purusha is that it is absolutely inactive, luminous, right? And it is exactly the way the psychic entity is defined. The step 2, and it says that the reflection, because to even understand that actually the gunas are operating, it's like the screen and there's a film, and you know, that's what Dhavalbhai said, that the film thing, the three gunas are working by themselves, and it reflects, and the Prakriti gets, that is working by itself, but the Purusha gets involved because it's reflecting and it identifies in either of the three gunas, and it tries. The moment you do that, the moment then they start playing, and then the equilibrium gets distorted. This is what it says in the last paragraph, right? So the second step is identical, that the Purusha has to realize, and the moment the psychic being identifies with this passive, luminous psychic entity, which is the Purusha within, it exactly is step 2. So whatever Sankhya has been put up and whatever we did in the previous chapter, the second milestone and what they've explained is 100% in sync. This is my understanding. I wanted you to comment on that.
Basically, you want to correlate what we have read here with the terms psychic entity and psychic being.
And if you see the psychic being, if you see the realization of the psychic entity is coming into that Purusha within. We've called the Purusha within psychic entity, which is passive, luminous, and it does no action. Everything that was brought up as a definition of the psychic entity that we studied, and if you see the Purusha, the way it's, if you read that line, which is the last the paragraph that you read, it says that it is luminous, it is passive. Every term that it describes, it is the psychic entity,
that
which
is a
comes in
of the Purusha.
And if you see the Purusha, so the key realization of the psychic being is the moment you identify with what is Sankhya is telling us, that why are you getting involved? There is the psychic entity which is completely passive, luminous, and it is just a witnessing consciousness. You are coming into the play of these three gunas, and that distortion is happening. So the moment you get back to the poise of the psychic entity, you become the witnessing, and it explains that the reason why you are not able to do it is because you are prioritizing one of the gunas, and then the gunas go into the equilibrium, gets distorted. So it categorically brings in step 2 of what we've done. It reconciles it to what we've read till now, and it also reconciles the psychic being identifying the psychic entity within. Because if you live with that psychic entity consciousness, the passive luminosity which is within, then all you're doing is you're watching the play. You're seeing the three gunas.
You're not just watching the play, you're also, wherever necessary, intervening in the play as an instrument. That also has to come as a second step. You're not just in the Purna Yoga, as Sri Aurobindo has taught it, you are supposed to become an instrument of the divine in the world for transforming the world. So mere passivity will not do.
That is step 3. In the step 2, if you see the luminosity of becoming a witnessing, see whatever we read, even the fact that you can be in a poise where heat and sun and rain, heat and dust, joy, everything, The moment you withdraw yourself, and you in the last session you quoted that like a turtle or a tortoise withdraws and becomes this psychic entity within, he sees that the gunas are playing by themselves. So
Yeah, so
the point I'm
basically,
making, yeah.
बोलिए बोलिए.
So the point I'm making is, if you read this last paragraph, if we just read it again and we reflect on whatever we read about the psychic being and the psychic entity, you will see the Sankhya is categorically putting the terminology of a Purusha, but telling you the capability of the psychic entity, the luminosity which is within. And the moment the psychic being becomes this psychic entity, it becomes that consciousness, which is step two, seeing that I am not the doer. The
Yeah,
three gunas are working by themselves,
basically,
and
हाँ,
it is
correct.
a play, and he's completely luminous because he's seeing the play happen.
Yeah.
So it completely reconciles the psychic being, psychic entity, all the reading we did for those 4 months,
On the whole,
and
you
it
are,
brings you.
yes, on the whole, you are right. But maybe, I mean,
So,
I will
Anmol,
try
why
to.
don't you read just to confirm for all of us, just read that last paragraph again and see, is there any terminology or any line which goes and it's not in sync with what we
नहीं,
read?
I don't need to read it again. उसकी जरूरत नहीं है. I'll just add from my side what I
Okay,
felt like adding. Okay. So
okay.
you are saying psychic being, psychic entity, all these things, now. See, when you recover that Purusha consciousness within you, okay, basically, when you first feel the separation in yourself from the movements of Prakriti. Okay, we'll start like, how it happens actually. So, as the consciousness develops for any somewhat intellectually developed person, okay, he can make a difference in his mind between two parts of mind. One is that in which all the thoughts are going on, emotions, thoughts, feelings, sabka mixture, and the other part of the same mind which is observing those things, right? This is not something very great I'm talking. Okay. When this separation becomes complete, it happens. It can happen automatically in the course of life, or you consciously practice that separation, or you do some kind of yoga and it happens like that. So you experience that I am the witness and all this is just going on and this is separate from me. Okay. This can be felt in the even the mental Purusha. Okay. The Purusha is not just the psychic entity or psychic being. That same Purusha, further, when it represents itself on the mental, vital, physical planes, we had read this also, remember. It becomes
Correct.
either the Manomaya Purusha or the Pranamaya Purusha or the Annamaya Purusha. Now, let's say that somebody is in his basically a dominantly mental person, okay, and he's able to feel this separation, that these are my thoughts but this is me, and that separation is total. ये सब ये बाहर चल रहा है और ये मैं इसको केवल देख रहा हूं. Then that may be an experience of the manomaya purusha. It may not be the experience of the psychic being which is called the chaitya purusha. Is it clear now?
So Anmol, just to elaborate, if you look at what's happening right now, there is, the moment I put my attention, there is a consciousness which is saying, my Lord, it is you witnessing, you, the psychic entity within me, which is doing this play between Anmol and Yogesh, a
If you say
clarification
this,
of.
if you say
Yeah,
this, it is you, then you are still on the other side. You have to
correct.
experience that as yourself. You have to experience your consciousness basically. It has to
Right,
turn upon itself. Okay. It does automatically. In the course of evolution, it happens. Okay. But let's say you are practicing Sakshi Bhav meditation, then it will happen
right,
faster. So when it turns back upon itself and is stationed in that witness poise, no matter for how much minutes or that does not matter. Most important is it should happen. That experience should happen. Then you experience a great liberation because you realize that all these movements of Prakriti, all these turmoil of thoughts, feelings, desires, emotions, etc., etc., I am not this. That I am not this is a very huge thing. Okay.
yeah,
And
but
then
Anmol,
that thing
Anmol,
can be
just
further
one
built
point
on.
here. Yeah, my only point is if you see right now, there is a sattvic engagement happening. We are
Yeah,
understanding
correct.
the
So the
scriptures,
sattva guna
and
is
there is a
pradhan.
consciousness.
हाँ.
The moment I bring in yogi and I identify that I, yogi, am listening, having this conversation, I am engaging as a guna, which is playing by itself. Prakriti is doing this. My
your purusha
identification as
parts.
yogi brings in this
Correct,
interference in the three gunas, right?
correct, correct.
Otherwise,
So
even while talking, if I just say, my God, my Lord, it's you.
yes,
इतना 6 महीना 1 साल से
yes,
वो बोल रहा है कि यार it's me.
yes,
So I'm
yes,
saying that he's
yes.
telling us again and again and again that
This
if you
saying that my Lord, it is you, it is then see again. If you say, we are basically getting clarity of terminology, right? और कुछ नहीं है.
right, that's
Listen.
all.
So when you say
Correct.
Lord, hold on. When you say Lord, उसको गीता में बोलते हैं, पुरुषा की भाषा में उसको बोलते हैं पुरुषः परः. ओके,
Right,
13.23 में उपद्रष्टानुमंता च भर्ता भोक्ता महेश्वरः परमात्मेति चाप्युक्तो देहे अस्मिन् पुरुषः परः. ओके, लेट मी ट्रांसलेट. उपद्रष्टा
right,
माने विटनेस, अनुमंता माने सैंक्शन गिवर, अनुमंता च. भर्ता माने सपोर्टर, ही हु इज सपोर्टिंग ऑल द मूवमेंट्स ऑफ प्रकृति फ्रॉम विद इन. ओके, भोक्ता माने इंजॉयर, जिसके लिए ये सारा प्रकृति का डांस हो रहा है. ठीक है. भोक्ता महेश्वर, महेश्वर लिटरली मीन्स द ग्रेट लॉर्ड और द ग्रेट कंट्रोलर, द ग्रेट लॉर्ड. ठीक है. परमात्मा च अपि इति उक्तः, इट इज कॉल्ड परमात्मा, द सुप्रीम सेल्फ. ठीक है, दैट इज अनदर नेम फॉर इट. देहे अस्मिन् पुरुषः परः, in this body is that supreme purusha. But look at the word, it is purushah parah. It is talking about the, you are not purushah parah, mind you. I am not purushah parah. I am a jiva. I am a portion of that purushah parah. But when it is necessary or when the yoga happens, then I can at will know myself, or according to the will of the divine, know myself in consciousness as that purushah parah. ठीक है. बट दैट डज नॉट मीन दैट आई एम दैट पुरुषः परः. इट डज नॉट मीन दैट आई एम दैट सुप्रीम पर्सन. दिस हैज टू बी अंडरस्टूड. सोहम अस्मि जब हम
correct,
कहते हैं कि आई एम ही, ठीक है, इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट है, कोई बात नहीं, टाइम लगता है तो. जब हम सोहम अस्मि कहते हैं, व्हाट इज हैपनिंग इन दैट सोहम अस्मि स्टेट? My conscious, that drop is merging into the ocean. Okay, but then that can again come back. ऐसा नहीं है, that sense will remain, but still the sense will be sort of as if you are projected from the divine. Remember, like what I remember reference is from the 5th chapter of the Mother, last paragraph. You will know and see and feel that you are a person and power formed by her out of herself, put out from her for the play, and yet always safe in her. ये स्टेट आ जाती है. Being of her being, consciousness of her consciousness, force of her force, आनंदा of her आनंदा. ठीक है. तो you are aware
right,
that that Shakti is there within me, or from whom I am projecting, and that Shakti and the Supreme Lord are one. इस तरह से वो स्टेट. I'll repeat that sentence again. Okay, you will know and see and feel that you are a person and power formed by her out of herself. अब यहां पे आप हर को जगह हिम से रिप्लेस कर सकते हो, बिकॉज इन द गीता इट इज हिम. ओके,
correct,
पर्सन
correct,
फॉर्म्ड बाय हर, पुट आउट फ्रॉम हर फॉर द प्ले. वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, कि क्योंकि फॉर द प्ले it is necessary to have some sense of separation, some sense of
right,
difference. In oneness there can be no play, right? Put out
right.
from her for the play, and yet always safe in her, being of her being conscious. तो ये होगा उसमें. But then
Correct. But Anmol, the
terminology
first
mind में clear
word,
होना. हाँ.
correct. The first word you said, you will know. I completely understand the experience, etc. is much aage jaake.
Yes.
But the knowing part of what we read last paragraph says that the Prakriti is doing the play, the Purusha, the moment it's actually reflecting. Like
Yeah.
right now, if
Yeah.
I reflect saying ye main hu, Yogesh is having this conversation, it's a reflection. Actually,
Yes.
it is a sattvic,
Exactly.
it is sattva gun which is playing right
Exactly.
now.
Now,
The
now
moment
listen.
I go to sleep after that,
Correct.
it is the tamasic gun playing. And the
Correct.
moment I just know this, it's so
Correct.
simple. It's a switch on, switch off. I'm
Exactly.
saying the moment you know, it is so easy.
Yes.
He's
It
telling
is
us
very
that
easy.
just to
And
know this,
it is
it's
a
so simple.
exactly. And it is a fundamental liberation to be sought by everybody. And it has to happen at some point in the evolution of everybody. This separation of Purusha and Prakriti, and knowing yourself as this Purusha. It's very important. And by the way, even if you realize the Pranamaya Purusha even or the Manomaya Purusha, the Purusha is one. That मतलब वो उसके पुरुष के अलग अलग पॉइजेस हैं, बट वो पुरुषा एक ही है, वो अलग पुरुष नहीं है. दैट सुप्रीम पुरुषः परः पुरुषः जो आपके देह में बैठा हुआ है एटसेट्रा एटसेट्रा, वही सुप्रीम पुरुषा व्हेन इट इंडिविजुअलाइजेस इट बिकम्स द चैत्य पुरुषा कॉल्ड द साइकिक बीइंग. That same Chaitya Purusha sort of projects from within itself the Manomaya, Pranamaya, Annamaya as per the evolution, right? But आपको अगर
Right.
पुरुष का झलक मिल गया ना, वो पुरुषा एक ही है, उसमें कोई डिफरेंस नहीं है, तो you will get that fundamental liberation in your consciousness.
Right.
So
Because
it
the
has to be
reflection was a
striven for, and
beautiful
that is
word.
why,
Yeah.
I'll just complete myself, sorry.
Yeah.
That is why so many teachers in modern times, this is one of the most popular meditations, common meditations they will teach you, practice साक्षी भाव. कि आप वो साक्षी भाव को प्रैक्टिस करो और उससे आपका वो विटनेस कॉन्शियसनेस डेवलप हो जाएगा. All these movements of Prakriti, they will not trouble you so much.
Right. Because that's what I said. Because the reflection is that beautiful term in that last paragraph. It says that the Purusha is a reflection. The Prakriti is working. The three gunas are working just by
पुरुषा के अंदर
identification.
रिफ्लेक्ट होता है. So
Right.
the Prakriti is defined by Sankhya. By the way, this is Sankhya only. ठीक है?
Right.
As Jada. And it gets its consciousness from the presence of the Purusha. वही अगले पैराग्राफ में आने वाला था. If we'll continue, then it will come
Right.
out.
Right. Perfect. Now it's because now there's complete clarity
And
that this
आपका
is
माइंड में
step
क्लियर
2.
हुआ कि साइकिक एंटिटी, साइकिक बीइंग ठीक है, वो पुरुषा है, लेकिन अगर आपको केवल विटनेस का अनुभव हो रहा है, इट मे नॉट नेसेसरली बी द साइकिक बीइंग और साइकिक एंटिटी. इट कुड बी द मनोमय पुरुषा, और if you are a vitally dominant person, it could be even the pranamaya purusha. For some reason, the Prakriti has got tired of itself, or the Purusha has got tired, and suddenly it draws back, and you see everything as something witness-like. Then it is not the psychic. May not necessarily. It could be also. It could
You're
not
right.
be
This
also.
is the
The
Manomaya.
psychic is
Because
very
you
deep.
just now you
Yeah, it is the
used those
Manomaya.
four.
It could be
Right.
the
This is
Manomaya.
Manomaya only.
Yeah, it could
Because
be the
right now
Manomaya.
you said knowing is only in the man, na? The visibility, the
Not that the
luminosity.
psychic does not know. If we say knowing is only in the mana, we should not come under the wrong idea. Then psychic knows in a different way. The Manomaya Purusha, it will know according to the mental consciousness, according to the mental light and the limitations of the mental consciousness. Okay. If you know from the psychic, you know in a much more deeper and fundamental way.
Right.
Got it?
Got it. Yeah.
Okay. Fine. So, okay.
Mol?
Yes.
So now the three stages or the three steps, what we all have been discussing, can you put it in a simpler way?
Yeah, the three stages, basically he's referring to the last two paragraphs of the chapter called the core of the teaching. In the second last paragraph, he gives them like this, that, karmanyavadhikaraste, ki you have the right to the fruit, to the action, but not to the fruit thereof. Okay.
Yeah.
In the second step, you feel that you are not the doer. Prakriti is the doer and everything is happening in the Prakriti and you are not the doer. Okay. In the third step, you realize that it is the divine Shakti which is doing everything and you are its instrument. This in the next paragraph, which is the last paragraph of the chapter, he sort of rephrases and words like that. And he calls it Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga. So basically the three steps are Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga. But that is, when you practice Karma Yoga, that is the practice. Knowing that you have to work. Because the Gita's insistence is that you should not stop working, but you have to offer that work to the divine. And you leave the fruits to the divine wisdom. Okay. In the next
second
step,
one,
Jnana Yoga, second is 3.27 of the Gita, shloka wise agar chale. So, Prakritehe kriyamanani gunaihi karmani sarvashah ahankara vimudhatma karta aham iti manyate. Deluded by ahankara. Ahankara ko literally dekhen, I do. Okay, kri dhatu se kara aa raha hai. Deluded by egoism, I think that I am the doer. Whereas the truth is that everything is happening in Prakriti, like right now. In most of us, the Sattva Guna would be dominant right now. Okay. So it is the play of that Sattva Guna which is happening. But if I think that I am listening, I am gaining, this is not right. Unless, of course, if the psychic being has fully awakened and it is fully participating in the nature, then the sense of doership will be the right sense of doership. But if you are in Prakriti, then it is ahankara, to think that I am doing it. It's not that you are doing it. इस वक्त क्योंकि एक सेशन का रिदम बन गया, सब कुछ बन गया है, So naturally there is a vriddhi of the sattva guna inside everybody, and it is the play of the sattva guna happening right now in everybody. Matlab mostly. I cannot comment on the inner state of the attendees, but that's what it means. Is that clear? And third step mein bhakti yoga, wherein you realize that, oh, that supreme Lord is there, who is one with his Parashakti, and everything is being done by the Supreme Lord through that Parashakti, and I am simply an instrument of the Lord and the Shakti. In that state, matlab, it's a state of union basically. But that kind of union, as the Gita says, and it cannot be attained except by bhakti. You have to know that Purusha and that Shakti as the doer, or wo jo total knowledge, a samagram knowledge, as it calls in 7.2, that does not come without bhakti. That is why great insistence, 6th chapter के end में भक्ति बोलेंगे, तपस्विभ्योधिको योगी ज्ञानेभ्योऽपि मतोऽधिकः कर्मिभ्यश्चाधिको योगी तस्माद् योगी भवार्जुन, and then योगिनामपि सर्वेषां मद्गतेनान्तरात्मना श्रद्धावान भजते यो माम समय युक्त तमो मतः. तो जैसे योगेश भाई ने बोला, योगी वर्ड है, योगिनामपि सर्वेषां, अमंग ऑल द योगीज, अगर हम उसको कर्म योगी मान के चलें, ठीक है, मद्गतेनान्तरात्मना, जिनकी अंतरात्मा की गति मेरी तरफ है, who is full heart and soul from within is dedicated to me. Madgatenantaratmana Shraddhavan Bhajate Yomam. Those who worship me with Shraddha. ठीक है, समय युक्त तमो मतः. In my opinion, they are the best united in yoga. तो वहां पे उन्होंने कर्म योग का या योगा को भक्ति से यूनाइट कर दिया. That is the end of the first section of the Gita, 6.47. And then, he builds in the next section and ends it with the 12th chapter, Bhakti Yoga, जहां पूरा एकदम वो भक्ति को expound कर. Is that clear?
So the third one is Bhakti Yoga.
Bhakti
and
Yoga.
the second one where Prakriti is
Jnana Yoga.
that
Jnana
is
Yoga.
given.
So very simple again, Sarita. First step is Karma Yoga, second step is Jnana Yoga, third step is Bhakti Yoga. Again मैंने example दिया था, very simple to remember, कुछ करने की जरूरत ही नहीं है. Synthesis of Yoga जो Sri Aurobindo की main book है. What are the three sections? How are they arranged in the book itself? So the Yoga of Divine Works, the Yoga of Knowledge, Divine Knowledge, and the Yoga of Devotion. वो ऐसा order क्यों है? Why is it not that devotion is the first section? Why is it not that jnana is the first section? It's not just for casually, just like that he has put over there. The reason behind that is this, that this is the order in which the yoga gradually enlarges. Clear? And this is the integral way to go about it. If you go by bhakti or jnana first, what is likely to happen is, if you go by jnana first, you will end up in illusionism. You will get so illuminated in your mind, you will like, this world is useless, why should I act? Or if you go into devotion first, what will happen? Arey, I'm just happy and satisfied with my devotional soon. I'm not saying that these are bad things. Anything which gives you liberation from your troubles, or brings out of your depression, sorrows, etc. Dukkhalayam ashashvatam, jaise Gita mein bola jata hai. Any yoga which gives you a liberation is great. And it is perfectly justified for a soul to be satisfied with whatever its state it wants to be satisfied in. It can even stay there for a long time. We discussed all this. Am I audible?
Yeah. So
Okay.
then in the Bhagavad Gita, then why did the second chapter has the Sankhya Yoga, which is the Gyan Yoga, na?
नहीं, but उसके पहले कर्म योगा आ गया ना, जो कर्मण्यवादी कारस्ते है, that is 2.47. So the teaching of karma yoga is already given in that. That's why Gita is not a simple, straightforward scripture.
Yeah.
It's a very complex scripture, and we need the help of great men like Sri Aurobindo to understand it. Clear?
Yeah. Thanks.
Okay.
Anmol, just one point here. The
Please.
reason Sankhya comes as step 2, because in step 1, you still feel I am the doer,
Yeah.
I am doing the action, and I cannot expect the fruits of the action. That is and that's the definition you read again of the
Not
yoga.
easy to do, by the way. कहना बहुत आसान है. कर्मण्यवादी कारस्ते मा फलेषु कदाचन, very difficult to do in practice.
Right. I'm not denying that. All
Yes,
I'm
sir.
saying is the
Yes, sir.
doership is part of step 1.
Yes.
The second is the joy of seeing that, look, it's
Yes.
Prakriti.
Yes.
You're just identifying
that
that I
liberation
am
from
not the
Prakriti.
doer.
Yes.
It becomes visible, and therefore
Yes.
it's step 2. It's a
Yes.
step above step 1, because
Yes.
there's clarity.
There is clarity.
that I
That
am
vision
not
is
the
there
doer.
to see that all this is happening simply in nature, and this is just going on mechanically. I am not doing this.
Correct. That's it. Yeah.
Okay. So we'll start with the new this thing today. I saw Harshita had joined today. Is she there? No. Dropped off, it seems. Acha, who would like to read? Well, I basically want everybody to have the benefit of reading this. So anybody, Mona ma'am, I think read last time. Arora ji, would you like to read
Which paragraph?
this one? But whence
But
then come this conscious intelligence?
okay,
Here.
I'll do it.
Yeah,
I'll do
please.
it. But whence then come this conscious intelligence and conscious will, which we perceive to be so large a part of our being and which we commonly and instinctively refer not to the Prakriti but to the Purusha. According to the Sankhya, this intelligence and will are entirely a part of the mechanical energy of nature and are not property of the soul. They are the principle of buddhi, one of the 24 tattvas, the 24 cosmic principles. Prakriti, in the evolution of the world, bases herself with her three gunas in her as the original substance of things, unmanifest, inconscient, out of which are evolved successively 5 elemental conditions of energy or matter. For matter and force are the same in the Sankhya philosophy. These are called by the names of 5 concrete elements of ancient thought: ether, air, fire, water, and earth. But it must be remembered that they are not elements in the modern scientific sense, but subtle conditions of material energy and nowhere to be found in their purity in the gross material world. All objects are created by the combinations of these 5 subtle conditions or elements. Again, each of these 5 is the base of one of 5 subtle properties of energy or matter: sound, touch, form, taste, and smell, which constitute the way in which the mind sense perceives objects. Thus, by these 5 elements of matter put forth from primary energy and these 5 sense relations through which matter is known, is evolved, which we would call in modern language the objective aspect of cosmic existence.
Right.
Shall I go further?
I think you read the next paragraph, then we'll cover the two together. Or maybe
Wow.
somebody else would like to read?
But it's not going further up.
हाँ मैं कर दूंगा नहीं maybe somebody else can get the chance to read. कोई पढ़ना
Okay.
चाहता है? Sarita,
I'll do it.
please.
13 other principles constitute the subjective aspect of the cosmic energy. Buddhi or Mahat, Ahankara, Manas, and its 10 sense functions, 5 of knowledge, 5 of action. Manas, mind, is the original sense which perceives all objects and reacts upon them. For it has at once an inferent and an efferent activity, receives by perception what the Gita calls the outward touches of things, Bahya Sparsha, and so forms its idea of the world and exercises its reactions of active vitality. But it specializes its most ordinary functions of reception by aid of the 5 perceptive senses of hearing, touch, sight, taste, and smell, which make the 5 properties of things their respective objects, and specializes certain necessary vital functions of reaction by aid of the 5 active senses which operate for speech, locomotion, the seizing of things, ejection, and generation. Buddhi The discriminating principle is at once intelligence and will. It is that power in nature which discriminates and coordinates. Ahankara, the ego sense, is the subjective principle in buddhi by which the Purusha is induced to identify himself with Prakriti and her activities. But these subjective principles are themselves as mechanical as much a part of the inconscient energy as those which constitute her objective operations. If we find it difficult to realize how intelligence and will can be properties of the mechanical inconscient and themselves mechanical jada, we have only to remember that modern science itself has been driven to the same conclusion. Even in the mechanical action of the atom, there is a power which can only be called an inconscient will, and in all the works of nature, that pervading will does inconsciently the works of intelligence. What we call mental intelligence is precisely the same thing in its essence as that which discriminates and coordinates subconsciously in all the activities of the material universe and conscious mind itself. Science has tried to demonstrate is only a result and transcript of the mechanical action of the inconscient. But Sankhya explains what modern science leaves in obscurity, the process by which the mechanical and inconscient takes on the appearance of consciousness. It is because of the reflection of Prakriti and Purusha, the light of consciousness of the soul is attributed to the workings of the mechanical energy, and it is thus that the Purusha, observing nature as a witness and forgetting himself, is deluded with the idea generated in her that it is he who thinks, feels, wills, acts, while all the time the operation of thinking, feeling, willing, acting is conducted really by her and her three modes, and not by himself at all. To get rid of this delusion is the first step towards the liberation of the soul from nature and her works.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah, these two paragraphs, Anmol bhai, will have to go very slow because this is very deep, very
Yeah.
deep, extremely deep.
Not only that, in the Life Divine book 1, there is a chapter called Conscious Force. तो उसके जो पहले 2 paragraphs है, that will have to be read as a side reference for this in order to get a completer idea of these elements. I had thought that. Okay. But whence then, whence means from where? But whence then come this conscious intelligence and conscious will, which we perceive to be so large a part of our being, and which we commonly and instinctively refer not to the Prakriti but to the Purusha. According to the Sankhya, this intelligence and will are entirely a part of the mechanical energy of nature and are not properties of the soul. They are the principle of buddhi. So buddhi is not just intelligence, as normally it is translated as one word translation. It is also will. Okay. They are the principle of buddhi, one of the 24 tattvas, the 24 cosmic principles. The 24 principles are mentioned that way in Gita 13.6. they are enumerated like Mahabhutanyahangkaro buddhiravyaktameva cha indriyani dashaikam cha panchachendriya gocharaha. This is the shloka. In the Gita Press edition, it is 13.5 because the first verse of the 13th chapter is not there in it. But in other editions, like Message of the Gita, it is 13.6. One of the 24 tattvas, the 24 cosmic principles. इसमें वो आ जाएंगे, so I am not translating the shloka right now. Prakriti.
Gochara means they are moving towards
चलो मैं
light,
translate
right?
कर देता हूँ. It's
हाँ.
easier.
हाँ.
Mahabhutani ahankaro. Should I show the shloka on screen? What should I do?
Please, please, please. Yeah.
1 minute.
What are the shlok number?
13.6. Is it visible?
Yeah.
So Mahabhutanyahankaro buddhiravyaktameva cha indriyani dashaikam cha panchachendriya gocharaha. Okay. It is divided as like this.
Shouldn't it be 23?
Sarita, it is 24.
No, because I'm just calculating 5
मैं
elements.
बता रहा हूँ, थोड़ा सा धैर्य रखो, बता रहा हूँ, काउंट कर रहे हैं. We are doing the संख्या. Mahabhutani. Okay, this is plural. So Mahabhutani means Maha means great, Bhutani means elements. So the great elements. In that come the 5. Okay, बुद्धि क्या बोलते हैं उसको, 7 point उसमें आता है भूमिरापो नलो वायुः खम. So if you go from bottom to top, it is bhumi, earth, apah, water, analah, fire, vayuhu, air, and kham. Kham mane ether. The shloka that I am referring to, that is exactly number I'll tell you. 7.4. Sorry. Bhumirapo nalo vayuhu kham. Okay. That is Mahabhutani in one word. Ahankarah. संधि में अहंकारो बन गया है 6. Okay. Buddhi, the intelligence and will, also called Mahat. 7. Avyaktam. Avyaktam is short for Avyakta Prakriti, unmanifest energy. Basically, the energy, potential energy, basically in its undifferentiated form, the pure energy. इसी को सांख्या में प्रधान भी बोलते हैं. For all these you will have to read the Sankhya Karika. इसमें भी mention आएगा maybe, but detail में वो सांख्य कारिका में है. Okay, so Mahabhutani, Ahankaro 6, Buddhi 7, Avyaktam 8 till now. Okay. Indriyani Dashaikam. Dashaikam mane Dasha Ekam mane 11. So 11 plus 8, 19. Cha पंचचेंद्रिय गोचराह. 5 चीजें वो जिनके अंदर इंद्रियां गोचर होती हैं, in which they move. What are they? Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha, also called Tanmatra. Why they are called Tanmatra? Because they alone, उसके अलावा कुछ है नहीं और एक्सपीरियंस करने को, that is how you experience. मात्र तत्, तन मात्र, that मात्र that, और कुछ है ही नहीं, तन मात्र. Okay, हो गया 24. Sarita, is it clear?
Yeah, actually, when we had done it with Anjali, so she had told us कि 10 तो ये ज्ञानेंद्रिय कर्मेंद्रिय हो गए and 10 and 5 तन्मात्रा हो गए.
नहीं तो एकम है ना, दशैकम है. That ekam is the manas. Indriyanam manaschasmi.
And one buddhi ahankar. 3 were those. Isliye that is how we had reached 23.
Okay, that's okay. But for the 24 tattvas, this is the shloka in the Gita.
So this unmanifest energy is one of them, is it?
One. That's the main one. जहां से ये सारी चीजें आती हैं.
Talk about that. Okay.
हाँ. वो अव्यक्तम जो है ना, अव्यक्तम डजंट साउंड लाइक अ प्रिंसिपल, इट्स समथिंग, इट्स द सटल मोस्ट ना, अनमैनिफेस्ट, क्या अनमैनिफेस्ट, बट दैट इज द फर्स्ट प्रिंसिपल। वो प्रकृति का एकदम मूल रूप है। इज इट क्लियर?
सो अनमोल भाई, प्रकृति इसमें नहीं आएगा, मतलब सत्व रजस गुण किधर जाएंगे फिर?
वो है, वो सत्व रजस तमस वो अव्यक्त प्रकृति के अंदर हैं, लेकिन वो
अच्छा अच्छा अच्छा।
डिफरेंशिएट नहीं हुए। जब वो डिफरेंशिएट होते हैं, सो फ्रॉम द सत्व गुण कम बुद्धि, फॉर एग्जाम्पल। नीचे जो जो महाभूतानी है, दे कम फ्रॉम द तमो गुण ऑफ प्रकृति, लाइक दैट।
अच्छा।
अगेन इसका
ओके।
डिटेलिंग सांख्य में है,
अच्छा
मे
अच्छा
बी
अच्छा।
इसमें भी होगा, देखना पड़ेगा, नहीं होगा तो आई ट्राई टू फिल इन द गैप्स।
So, so we can say that para prakriti or the pradhan is what
परा
we call?
प्रकृति नहीं, परा
नहीं,
प्रकृति
oh,
इज बियॉन्ड दिस, वी आर टॉकिंग
oh,
अबाउट द अपरा प्रकृति।
okay, अपरा प्रकृति,
ये
okay,
उस अपरा प्रकृति का अव्यक्त रूप है, कि अभी वो अपरा प्रकृति अपने अनडिफरेंशिएटेड या केवल पोटेंशियल फॉर्म, इट्स जस्ट प्योर एनर्जी, इट हैज नॉट
okay,
स्टार्टेड बिकमिंग डेंसर नाउ।
okay, okay.
This is not, this is not para prakriti. Clearly, and how to understand this, you have to for this read the 7.4, 5 and 6 of the 7th chapter. वहां पे भूमिरापो नलो वायु खम मनो बुद्धिरेव च अहंकार इति यम में भिन्ना प्रकृतिर अष्टधा। तो देयर दीज आर कॉल्ड पार्ट ऑफ द अष्टधा प्रकृति, वहां पे 8 फोल्ड बोलते हैं, हियर इट इज एक्सपेंडेड इनटू 24, ओके। अष्टधा अपरे यमितस्त्वन्याम प्रकृतिम विद्धि में पराम, बट इयम अपरा, ये अपरा है। तो दीज आर ऑल पार्ट ऑफ द अपरा, ऑफ द लोअर प्रकृति।
Beautiful. So one apara prakriti, you said.
अव्यक्तम बोलो आप, डोंट स्टिक टू द टर्मिनोलॉजी ऑफ विच इज हियर, एंड वो इंग्लिश टेक्स्ट में आएगा, वी हैव टू रीड फर्दर ना, वरना कैसे होगा?
नहीं, एक मिनट. So I'm just counting. So that would be one, right? And the remaining five, 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 five.
तो हाँ, सो अव्यक्तम, देन द बुद्धि, देन द अहंकार, देन
Manas.
the tanmatra 5, and then the 11 indriyas, 5 jnanendriya, 5 karmendriya, and 1 manas. Clear?
Yeah. So manas is as also an indriya of
Manas
the
is an
indriya.
indriya
Yeah.
naam manas
Sense.
chasmi, among the
Yeah.
indriyas I am mana. आपकी
Correct.
सारी इंद्रियां ये करना चाहती हैं, वो करना चाहती हैं, बट आपका मन नहीं लग रहा, क्या कर लोगे?
Correct. So it's the 11th, the highest.
It is Bhagavan, it is Vibhuti, it is God among the indriyas.
You know, this way the likha hai in the explanation, it starts with the indiscriminate, unmanifest energy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
That
it
is the
starts
avyaktam.
with
That is the avyaktam. Again,
which
I am
we
saying
will
physics से relate
not
करना
speak
चाहें,
about.
you can sort of say that is the potential form of that energy. अभी वो केवल potency form में है, अभी उसके अंदर से कुछ बाहर नहीं निकला है।
Okay.
Acha, that is why he's writing Prakriti in the evolution of the world bases herself.
Yeah,
with
मतलब
three
again, I'm not showing it on the screen now. So first, should I close this screen?
Yeah.
Yeah, one
I'm just
question
Shivaji has
here.
a question.
Yeah,
हाँ,
one question
हाँ,
here.
yes, sir.
Because it says in the text, matter and
एक
force are
मिनट
the
बेटा
same in Sankhya
क्लास में
philosophy.
Kalpana Ben, you have to mute yourself.
Sorry. It
हाँ.
says in the text that matter and force are the same in
Yes.
Sankhya philosophy. So here we are taking unmanifest force separate from
That is
the
the first form of that
Panchibhuta.
force. That is that unmanifest force. We'll come, when we'll read, we'll come to that.
Sure. Thanks.
Okay. So, but whence come this conscious intelligence and conscious will, which we perceive to be so large a part of our being and which we commonly blah blah? According to the Sankhya 24 tattvas, the 24 cosmic principles, Prakriti in the evolution of the world bases herself with her 3 gunas in her as the original substance of things. Okay. Now very important to understand here. So, एक मिनट धवल भाई, एक मिनट. So, integral yoga students, when they think of the word evolution, they think of the evolution happening from the inconscient upwards. Right? Evolution का क्या मतलब है? Inconscient के अंदर पहले से matter आया, फिर life आया, फिर mind आया, and right now the super mind is coming out. Right? So you think of it as going from down to up. Okay?
Correct.
Here what he's talking about is basically from up to down, कि वो प्रकृति है जब वो मैनिफेस्ट करना शुरू करती है, but he's using the same word evolve because evolve literally means outrolling. So that Prakriti is outrolling herself in this manner. Is it clear?
Yeah, so
Anmol bhai,
here the evolution is
हाँ
not in the integral sense of the word in
आप
that
उसको
sense.
मत पढ़ो यहाँ, आप बस एवोल्यूशन वर्ड का मतलब समझ लो. एवोल्यूशन का मतलब यहाँ पे अनरोलिंग है.
Okay.
It is revealing itself. It is unrolling itself.
That integral yoga evolution is divine immanent evolving out. That is
Yes.
unrolling of the divine
Yes.
immanent. This
It is
is
basically the
matter
evolution of the
unrolling
Purusha.
itself.
It is
Yeah.
the coming out of the Purusha from the sort of the self-revelation of the Purusha in the Prakriti. ठीक है. यहाँ पे क्या हो रहा है, यहाँ पे वो बता रहे हैं कि how that here, what he calling evolution here, now in the life divine he calls this involution. So that original energy, it becomes buddhi, then it becomes ahankara, then it becomes these tattvas, and finally it becomes gross and gross and gross, and then it becomes the inconscient.
So basically, this evolution is unfolding of the nature herself.
Yeah. Nature unfolding herself and manifesting whatever is within her.
Sorry,
So Anmol
evolution
bhai,
I thought is
1 minute.
Purusha, getting into depth of inconscient. That I thought was involution.
That's what correct. But how does that process? Does the Purusha, one is that the Supreme Divine straight away plunged into the inconscient. That is one thing. But even in the worlds, there is a gradation now. So gradually it is the Satchidananda which becomes supermind. That supermind becomes mind. It becomes vital. This becomes physical. That is how it happens at the inner levels, at the level of the planes, right? So वही यहाँ पे बता रहे हैं एक तरह से. Mainly what I wanted to say कि understand the word evolution here as unrolling. How the Prakriti is revealing her contents, basically. How the creation is happening. Clear? Okay. So Prakriti in the evolution of the world. Yogesh was saying something. Yogesh, bhai?
yeah. I was asking Anmol bhai, these 24 constituents of lower Prakriti that you gave, is there a shloka in Gita which, as you said, it should start from Buddhi? Do we have the sequence that what is it Buddhi, then Ahankar, then like what's the sequence?
वो सीक्वेंस इसमें आएगा. गीता में वो श्लोक, गीता में वो नहीं है. सो
अच्छा,
वो सांख्य कारिका में आता है. So in the Gita, the shloka what I told, Mahabhutanya Hankaro. See it's a poem. Please have to understand that. ठीक है? It's a poem. अगर प्रोस फॉर्म में लिखना होता तो कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं थी. पहले वो लिख देता अव्यक्ता, फिर लिख देता बुद्धि वर्ड, फिर लिख देता अहंकार, फिर लिख देता तन्मात्रा, फिर लिख देता एलिमेंट्स. But then the poetry of the Gita would be killed. You understand?
Right.
So and poetry is very important. Very important. In fact, the power of Sanskrit comes from the poetry. From the
But
chanda.
Anmol bhai, there is one shloka of the Gita na, which says above of this is intellect, above ahankar, something. There is one shloka
That
which
is at the end
least,
of the 3rd chapter.
what is that
at
shloka?
That shloka is Indriyani paranyahu Indriyebhyah param manah manasastu para buddhihi yo buddhehe paratastu saha. Indriya, basically what is saying is that the Indriyas are said to be superior than the objects of the Indriyas. वहां पे objects का तो mention ही नहीं है. It is simply implied. That is what happens a lot in Sanskrit literature. मतलब वो कुछ चीजें implied होती है. They are explicit also most of the time. Sometimes they're implied. Subtler than them is the Indriyas. Than the objects of the senses are subtler. Than the senses, the manas is subtler. Than the manas, the buddhi is subtler. And subtler than the buddhi is the saha, the he. It's a very important shloka because this is a method which we can use to withdraw like this and get to that soul consciousness within us.
So ahead of buddhi, what is the term you used and what does it mean?
Saha. Saha means Purusha. It means basically the
Supreme.
self.
Supreme, no?
Supreme ke liye the word is Param. Saha means Purusha.
Okay.
Correct. So here the lower Prakriti is ending at buddhi and the Prakriti ke upar jo Purush hai is the top, which is what? So he's basically said Prakriti, which is led by buddhi, and then he says there's Purusha, which is the top, right? That is the sequence?
No. वो आप मिक्स मत करो दोनों को अभी. जो
Okay.
see, when he's saying Purusha, he's not talking about Prakriti. Purusha is beyond Prakriti. यहाँ अभी बात प्रकृति की हो रही है. And of that Prakriti, this is the description, these 24 tattvas.
Correct. But I'm saying till he comes up to buddhi, what is implied
Till
out
he comes
here?
up to buddhi from where, sir? So, okay.
In this sequence that you just now read a shlok
हाँ.
in which you said
Let
that
me show the
niche
shloka. Let me show the shloka. 1 minute.
Right.
Confusion हो रहा है.
I'm saying that if you see the sequence of the shloka, and I'm just trying to correlate to the
अच्छा,
Sankhya.
that way.
Right.
Okay. हाँ, okay, हाँ, correct. I'll just show the shloka. 3.42.
Yeah, but Yogesh bhai, in Sankhya, Purusha and Prakriti are eternally separate. तो ये जो श्लोक है वो बाद में
नहीं
आ
नहीं,
रहा है.
he has a genuine this thing what he's saying. इंद्रियाणि पराणि आहुः. ओके, इंद्रियेभ्यः परम मनः सीक्वेंस में. सो पराणि आहुः यहाँ पे लिखा होगा नीचे. सम दे से, सॉरी, सुप्रीम दे से बियॉन्ड देयर ऑब्जेक्ट्स आर द सेंसेस. तो द सेंसेस आर बियॉन्ड देयर ऑब्जेक्ट्स. Supreme over the senses, the mind. Supreme over the mind, the intelligent will. That which is supreme over the intelligent will is he, the Purusha. तो यहां पे केवल इतना बात किया है.
Right.
Clear?
Right. Thanks.
Welcome.
But Anmol bhai, what I was saying is we are on second chapter. ये
Yeah.
थर्ड चैप्टर तक हम अभी तक
हाँ
पहुंचे नहीं है,
हाँ,
क्योंकि
नहीं बट
सांख्य
हाँ
सांख्य व्यूज पुरुष एंड प्रकृति सेपरेट.
या
इसलिए अभी तक ये मर्जर वाला जो श्लोक है वो अभी तक आया नहीं है, बिकॉज
एग्जैक्टली
अर्लियर वी रेड
एग्जैक्टली
दैट वेदांत में सिंथेसाइज किया हुआ है द मल्टीपल पुरुष का वन ब्रह्मन. So eventually the Sankhya of the Gita, Sri Aurobindo categorically states, which is the Vedantic Sankhya, right? You explained that.
एग्जैक्टली
And therefore
वो
multiple
उसमें
Purusha
आएगा, राइट, वो उसमें
become
आएगा.
one Purusha, right? If I go
Yes,
logically from that point is
yes.
what I
And
was.
see, ideally, see, Essays on the Gita is a conscious book in itself, and it is written by Sri Aurobindo. We don't need to बहुत ज्यादा इधर उधर if we just simply follow the text का जो वो है ना, we will get all that we are intended to receive as knowledge from the book. ठीक है? I had to refer to that shloka from the 13th chapter because वहीं पे वो एक श्लोक में अच्छे से encapsulate हो गया, right? And
Okay.
yeah,
And Anmol bhai, if you see right now, this means that the conversation of our discussion of essays of the Gita and this discussion on Sankhya is actually buddhi. We are
yeah,
reflecting it.
yeah.
So it's
What
buddhi
we are,
which has
हाँ,
brought all of
we
us
are functioning
together.
through the buddhi. Through the
Right.
buddhi, we are trying to
हाँ.
grasp it. बुद्धि ग्राह्यम अतीन्द्रियम. आगे जाकर के एक श्लोक आता है सॉरी, इसमें बुद्धि ग्राह्यम अतीन्द्रियम, कि वो बुद्धि के द्वारा ग्राह्यम है. सो व्हेन द बुद्धि मेक्स सम एफर्ट, इट कैन ग्रास्प होल्ड ऑफ द ट्रुथ टू सम एक्सटेंट.
Correct. So even in Prakriti, the buddhi, which is the most, अभी जो हमने sequence
Yes,
अब
the
तक
most
किया है,
illumined
of
part
the
of the
24,
Prakriti.
buddhi is on top.
Yes,
Of the 24, buddhi is
yes,
on top, and
yes,
buddhi, that shows the power of buddhi, that it's giving you such illumination, it's
yes,
giving you a complete understanding, and buddhi is happening, and it is nature, which is led by our buddhi collectively, 10 of us who are on this call, which have brought us here, and we are thinking that we are trying to understand with our identity. That is where we are going off track. If we can just understand it's buddhi doing this, we are all on track, right?
yeah.
Yeah, but
Because
then
as the
that's
Sankhya is saying that the buddhi itself is not having that intelligence and consciousness.
that
The
is why.
intelligence and consciousness belong to the Purusha. And in the Purusha, there is no even difference. The Purusha within each and every one of is the same essentially.
But then Anmol bhai, why is then Sankhya saying that buddhi is jada?
So
How can
Sankhya is, तो Sankhya का एक limitation है ना, sort of. And see, a
अच्छा.
lot of what happens in our nature, it just goes on like that, na, mechanically. अच्छा, tell me one thing. Don't you have a part of your mind जिसमें कोई song या कुछ thought वो mechanically चलता रहता है? No matter how much you try, that mechanical mind does not stop, isn't it? Is it not
Okay,
jada?
that aspect of, yes,
नहीं,
that
but tell
aspect
me,
of,
okay,
yes,
is it not
mechanical
jada? Then Sankhya is right, no? Sankhya is at least partly right.
Yeah. So that is why now it becomes very important to read Life Divine, where Sri Aurobindo says there are two actions of buddhi. Lower action is following the senses and the sense data, whereas higher action is moving away from sense data and turning higher towards upper and higher
We are
inward.
coming towards the end of the session timing for this, so I don't know exactly what to do because कुछ नहीं हो पाएगा. Even this first paragraph we cannot do today.
Can I
No,
just
no,
suggest
allotted
that
time.
lot of these questions are addressed just like a page or two down the line in the same chapter. So if we can,
Exactly. If we just
yeah.
read the text, वो सारा आंसर हो जाएगा अपने आप.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. क्या करना है? It's 9:02 already. मतलब I'll need at least 10 minutes to do justice to this paragraph.
Then next time, because this is very important.
No, I think let's at least take 10 minutes more, Anmol bhai. Let's just come
Anmol?
to the end and we
हाँ.
continue. If it doesn't, 10 minutes ले लो, please.
सरिता
ये
बोलिए.
when we say man and buddhi, so man is what is just doing whatever our indriyas are telling us, and whereas buddhi is the intelligence.
Yeah.
Because man to sabke hai. But buddhi is varying in everyone, na?
Yeah. नहीं करेक्ट. आगे पढ़ते हैं, क्लियर होगा सरिता. इट विल बिकम
Okay.
क्लियर. मन इज बेसिकली द इंटरमीडियरी बिटवीन द बुद्धि एंड द इंद्रियस.
Okay.
हाँ. ओके. ओके, आई एटलीस्ट 10 मिनट लगेंगे, बट आई ट्राई टू. हालांकि एक्चुअली इन ऑर्डर टू रीड दिस पैराग्राफ एंड अंडरस्टैंड प्रॉपर्ली, लाइफ डिवाइन के वो जो 2 पैराग्राफ्स हैं, दे नीड टू बी रेड. उससे और क्लैरिटी आती है. बिना उसके आई विल नॉट बी हैप्पी टू डू इट. सो दैट्स व्हाई आई विल बी कंफ्यूज्ड कि क्या करूं. It will then need more than 10 minutes.
Yeah. Okay, we'll do it next time. Let's not rush
Okay.
through. I think I
Next
agree with
time.
Dhaval bhai.
Okay.
This is
Okay.
complicated.
Okay.
And in the meanwhile, if you can paste those paragraphs from Life Divine,
I'll certainly do that. I'm already telling conscious force नाम से chapter के first 2 paragraphs.
Okay.
Okay. So प्रकृति in the evolution, हाँ ये sentence ही नहीं पढ़ पाए थे हम. प्रकृति in the evolution of the world bases herself with her 3 gunas in her as the original substance of things. Okay. Unmanifest, यहां से वो वर्ड आया है अव्यक्तम उस वाले श्लोक में. ठीक है. इनकॉन्शियंट, जिसके अंदर कॉन्शियसनेस नहीं है, जो जड़ है. आउट ऑफ विच आर इवॉल्व्ड सक्सेसिवली 5 एलिमेंटल कंडीशंस ऑफ एनर्जी और मैटर. अब देखिए कितना इंपॉर्टेंट है. फॉर मैटर एंड फोर्स आर द सेम इन द सांख्य philosophy. Now, this modern science are understood through Einstein's equation in the earlier 20th century. This was known to Sankhya thousands of years ago. Just look at this. For matter and force are the same. वहां पे उसको energy बोलते हैं. E is equal to mc square. Matter and force are the same in the Sankhya philosophy. These are called by the names of the 5 concrete elements of ancient thought: ether, air, fire, water, and earth. But it must be remembered that they are not elements in the modern scientific sense, like carbon, hydrogen, etc., but subtle conditions of material energy. Subtle conditions of material energy, and nowhere to be found in their purity in the gross material world.
Ooh.
Why nowhere to be found? It's because the way it is described is कि जो अर्थ तत्व है. Okay, so basically what happens, the first is the ether. Okay, from that ether comes the vayu, from that vayu comes the fire, from that fire comes the water, etc. So successively as it comes, so in the earth, the final one, the other 4 are already there, also there like that. Or in fact, the way it is described in one of the Vedantic texts, what is its name, Tattva Bodha, उसमें वो कहते हैं कि like you have the 5 जो पंच महाभूत का जो शरीर है, ठीक है, जो एकदम ग्रॉस बॉडी है. In that the 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 earth of that, basically the earth component of that, it is only half is earth, and the 1/8, 1/8, 1/8, 1/8 is the other 4 elements. And so it is for the, इसको पंचीकरण बोलते हैं उसमें. सो इट इज फॉर ऑल दी अदर्स. फिर से रिपीट कर रहा हूं कि इस ग्रॉस बॉडी के अंदर जो भूत का जो एलिमेंट है, जो कॉम्पोजिशन है, इसका जो अर्थ वाला पार्ट है वो कैसे कंपोज होता है. 1/2 is purely the earth principle, and the rest 1/2 is made up of 1/8, 1/8, 1/8, 1/8 of all the other 4. And similarly, it is for the other 4 principles, for the other 4 elements. पंचीकरण बोलते हैं. ठीक है. एंड एनीवे, अगर आप समझें इसको, ईथर से वायु आया से, तो अर्थ के अंदर वो ईथर तो ऑलरेडी है ही ना, वो ईथर आया ही अर्थ से है. तो हाउ इज इट पॉसिबल टू फाइंड इट इन इट्स प्योर फॉर्म? दैट
Yeah,
you see,
yeah.
right?
That is why in Brain of India, Sri Aurobindo says water contains electricity and light and everything in it. Once you heat also, so when you do the tapasya, I mean, when Retas, the Jala Tattva, has all these 3 inbuilt in it. Okay.
There actually, हाँ, वहाँ पे जला, वहाँ पे is using the word jala basically for the retas. वहाँ से वही ना, it's not that jala पानी, it's that element. वो मुझे भी नहीं समझ में आया वो रेतस और जला को कैसे समझना है. It's a little
अच्छा
complicated, हाँ.
तो पर अनमोल भाई यहाँ पर बट इट मस्ट बी रिमेम्बर बड़ा कैवियट डाला है श्री अरविंदो ने इट
हाँ.
मस्ट बी रिमेम्बर्ड दैट दे आर नॉट एलिमेंट्स इन मॉडर्न साइंटिफिक सेंस
Yes.
बट
Yes.
subtle conditions of material energy
To
subtle
understand this
condition
better, मैं बोल रहा हूँ, बार बार बोल रहा हूँ.
हाँ
If you read those 2 paragraphs of the Life Divine, some more clarity will come. उसके बिना वो नहीं आएगी, मैं बता रहा हूँ.
ओके
Okay. That we'll read next time only. I'll paste them. Everybody is, very definitely one should read them before. But subtle conditions of material, blah blah. All objects are created by the combination of these 5 subtle conditions or elements. Okay. Again, each of these 5 is the base of one of 5 subtle properties of energy or matter: sound, touch, form, taste, and smell, which constitute the way in which the mind sense perceives objects. शब्द स्पर्श रूप रस गंध दे कॉरेस्पॉन्ड टू दीज. और इसमें भी क्या होता है कि जो पहला वाला होगा उसके अंदर शब्दक तत्व होगा केवल, इन द एथरिक वन. इन द नेक्स्ट वन शब्द एंड स्पर्श दोनों होंगे इन द वायु. ओके. इन द नेक्स्ट वन शब्द स्पर्श रूप तीनों होंगे, बट रूप उसका मेन कंपोनेंट होगा. यू कैन इमीडिएटली रिलेट इन योर माइंड. ठीक है. चौथा वाला जो होगा उसके अंदर शब्द स्पर्श रूप रस चारों प्रॉपर्टीज होंगी, बट रसा उसका प्रिडोमिनेंट होगा, कैरेक्टरिस्टिक. And in the last one, Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, all 4 will be there, but Gandha will be the main thing. But other than the Gandha, smell के अलावा बाकी 4 भी उसके अंदर होंगे, like that.
interesting
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Thus, by these 5 elements of matter put forth from primary energy and these 5 sense relations through which matter is known, is evolved, what we will call, would call sorry in modern language, the objective aspect of cosmic existence, what we experience as objective aspect. Shall we just read those 2 paragraphs without going into explanation or
no
not?
just the first one just
नहीं,
Already
first one से
yeah
काम, first one से काम नहीं चलेगा. The real matter is there in the second paragraph.
let's do
We'll
it
read. We'll
please
read.
No,
please
yeah, let's not rush it,
Yeah, we'll
Anmol.
just
This
at
is
least read ताकि
complex.
mind में कुछ जाए. Some more
हाँ
clarity.
सीड करते
I
हैं
think
माइंड को
जितना
let's
गया
That's
है
what I
आज
say.
का पढ़
That's
के
what I
वही
say.
समझने के लिए 2 बार ये दोबारा पढ़ना
This is
पड़ेगा.
I'm telling you, it's a very, very profound book and one needs to meditate, contemplate, do some yoga sadhana वगैरह कुछ नहीं समझ में आएगा. One can get frustrated otherwise.
I'm thinking that even if we look at all of us, it is supposed to be Buddhi that has got 10 of us on this call, and it's saying that we should understand that it's nature's play. Just to understand how is this working. All 10 of us are on a call which is explaining this, and all is being done by Prakriti, which is led by Buddhi.
That is fine, but
And we
that
are
is
on
not the
this call.
complete knowledge. In the integral yoga, we would say that it is your psychic being which has brought you to this call. It is the aspiration of your soul, your psychic being, which has brought you together to try to understand this. तो वो complete knowledge नहीं है. Sankhya is, as I said again and again, कि Sankhya is the first philosophy, and therefore there are some very basic sort of elements in it. It's not complete. Getting it?
सांख्य कोई अमल में रखते रखते जिंदगी निकल जाएगी anyway
Anyway.
let's
So
read
who would
no
like to read this?
I would read I volunteer
You will want to read? Okay, please read.
all phenomenal so should I read the Shweta
No. Just read this.
all phenomenal existence resolves itself into a force. Wow. Into a movement of energy that assumes more or less material, more or less gross or subtle forms for self-presentation to its own experience. In the ancient images by which human thought attempted to make this origin and law of being intelligible and real to itself, this infinite existence of force was figured as a sea. Okay. Initially at rest and therefore free from forms. But the first disturbance, the first initiation of movement necessitates the creation of forms and is the seed of a universe. Matter is the presentation of force, which is most easily intelligible to our intelligence. Molded as it is by contacts in matter, to which a mind involved in material brain gives the response. The elementary state of material force is, in the view of the old Indian physicists, a condition of pure material extension in space, of which the peculiar property of is vibration, typified to us by the phenomenon of sound. But vibration in this state of ether is not sufficient to create forms. There must first be some obstruction in the flow of the force ocean, some contraction and expansion, some interplay of vibrations, some impinging of force upon force, so as to create a beginning of fixed relations and mutual effects. Material force modifying its first ethereal status assumes a second, called in the old language of the aerial, of which the special property is contact between force and force. Contact that is the basis of all material relations. Still, we have not yet real forms, but only varying forces. Okay. A sustaining principle is needed. This is provided by a third self-modification of the primitive force, of which the principle of light, electricity, fire, and heat is for us the characteristic manifestation. Even then, we can have forms of force preserving their own character and peculiar action, but not stable forms of matter. A fourth state characterized by diffusion and a first medium of permanent attractions and repulsions, termed picturesquely water or the liquid state. And the fifth of cohesion, termed earth or the solid state, complete the necessary elements. All forms of matter.
नहीं नहीं, आप थर्ड पैराग्राफ पढ़ रहे हैं धवल भाई.
अच्छा ठीक है, sorry, yeah.
Yes.
मैं तो, this
Beautiful
is
text.
amazing. This is
Feel like
so,
reading again and again.
yeah, beautiful.
You see, we cannot read both the books simultaneously वैसे. But just this ना जो second paragraph है, इससे वो पूरा process वो explain कर reason बता रहे हैं उसका कि
Yeah.
why this is necessary, why the next step is necessary.
So basically, यहाँ तो इतना समझ आ रहा है कि cohesion becomes stronger and stronger. That's why matter is there. The weaker the cohesion, आगे vibration हल्का है.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll do it next time. More subtler, the higher frequency.
We'll close with silence.
Yeah.